What's up everyone, it's Tyler from Parallax Gaming here with another video. Today we're continuing our 8.0.1 Tank Guide series with the Blood Death Knight. So pretty much like the other videos, this is going to be a fairly simple guide going into the basics, not really including legendaries, and of course we're not including the artifact because we lost all of those abilities with 8.0.1. So guys, this is going to be fairly simple. It's going to be good for you guys returning to the game, good for you guys that are new to the class, and good for people that are going to be leveling this class into BFA. So if anybody has any questions throughout the entire guide, go ahead and drop them in the comments. We have our Discord in the description. That's probably the best place to get back to me to ask questions. Also, I'm on live on Twitch a lot. That's also a really good place to go check out and ask me questions. I'll get right back to you right then. So go ahead and go over there. Follow me if I'm not live, and when I'm live, go ahead and shoot. So let's go ahead and jump right into this guide. First, we'll be going into talents, then stat priority, then rotations and CDs and active mitigation. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get into our talents. The talents really haven't changed too much. There's been a couple here and there that have actually been removed, replaced with other things. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. In the low 56 category, pretty much the only talent we're going here with is Blood Drinker. The strongest one in this talent category, I think, by pretty good margin. Blood Drinker, you drain 5,081 health from a target over 2.4 seconds. You can move, all that good stuff. Use defensives while you're channeling ability, so don't have to worry about any of that. The only one that could be changed in very situational might be Rune Strike. I haven't used it at all. I haven't really seen any other people use it. Let me know if you guys have used it, when you guys used it, what situations were good for it. Um, in the low 57 category, we have a new talent called Consumption. This pretty much is what our artifact ability used to be. It's not too strong. In this category, we're only going with homeostasis. Pretty damn strong. It's Blood Boil increases damage and healing done of your next Death Strike by 8%, stacking up to 5 times. That's really, really important as Death Strike is pretty much your largest ability that is going to be keeping you alive throughout a fight. And that 8% is a really, really large amount, and it can stack up to 5 times, which is insane. So let's go ahead and move on to the 58 category. I have 2 talents here because of my legendary, but we're not going to be getting into legendaries as we'll lose them at 115 and above in BFA. So in this category, it's actually pretty close here between Foul Bulwark and Ossuary. I would go with Ossuary. It's a really strong passive. Both of them are really strong passives, but Ossuary you get if you have at least 5 Bone Shield charges, Death Strike is reduced by 5 runic power. Plus your maximum runic power is increased by 10, so you can hold up more runic power to be able to save up for more Death Strikes in a row. Plus your Death Strike is reduced by 5 runic power. Let me know what you guys go with and what situations between these two. I really like to figure out what you guys do. But I really think Ossuary is a stronger talent here. In the level 60 category, this is another one that's, I think, more one-sided. Will of the Necropolis is really, really strong. Damage taken below 35% health is reduced by 35%. That's pretty much like an instant 35% reduced, like CD pretty much, except it's a passive, which is insane. Um, However, it's also like situational. You can go with Rune Tap. Rune Tap is really good for like really situational fights where you take damage within 4 seconds multiple times throughout a fight. You can reduce all that damage taken by 30%, which adds a little bit control instead of the passive. Um, so you can use Rune Tap in situational fights. Level 75 is also probably the most customizable category we have here is all utility. Tightening Grass, reduces cooldown and Gorfine's Grasp by 30 seconds. Really good for control in Mythic Plus, good for control and progression when you have a lot of ads that you need bunched together really quickly. Insane for AoE for your entire raid or your group. Wraith Walk, again, utility, movement, speed increase that is really useful for DKs as we pretty much lack in the movement. So if you need to get somewhere quick in a raid or somewhere quick in a Mythic Plus, definitely go ahead with this. Grip of the Dead is also Another one of those for I think Mythic Plus is really strong. Is it can also be used in progression, but it's definitely really good for getting away from enemies. If you're pulling huge in Mythic Plus, you can use this, drop it down, and reduces their speed by 90%, decaying 10% every second. Really good to get away from them. In the level 90 category, this is one that's changed. We have Voracious now. Death Strike grants you 15% leech for 6 seconds. It sounds pretty good, but however, Bloodworms is actually just much stronger passive ability. Your Bloodworms deal minor damage to your target and burst healing you for 15% of your missing health. That's absolutely insane, guys. 15% of your missing health. If you guys also, if you drop below 50% health, your Bloodworms will immediately burst and heal you. So if you have two Bloodworms already, that's an extra 30% of your missing health that's coming back. In the level 100 category, I'm going to be going with Purgatory almost 90% of the time. However, Red Thirst is also pretty strong. Um, it reduces cooldown of your Vampiric Blood by 1 second per 10 runic power spent, and you're shooting out a lot of runic power. But I really believe Purgatory is the best one here. Um, Let me know what you guys think. A lot of these talents are really, really interchangeable. Um, so if you guys have any like abilities that you talents that you guys use in certain situations, please leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear what you guys say. But I'm going with Purgatory here 9 out of 10 times. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and move on into our stat priority. Alright guys, here's our stat priority for 8.0.1. It's pretty much remained the same. There hasn't been too many changes. First off, we have haste, which is super powerful for Death Knights. And if you can get a lot of it, it definitely helps to fine-tune your rotation. The haste increases our attack speed and rune regeneration, which in turn gives us more resources and just allows us to do more abilities as we rely on our rune regeneration to get runic power. Uh, Really, it just increases our active mitigation. Um, and number two, we have versatility, really, really strong, of course. Increases all your damage and healing done, and decreases all damage you take. It's fairly simple where where versatility is really strong. And number three, we have mastery. Mastery is also really important for us as DKs. It increases the size of our blood shield, and it really helps to smooth out our damage intake with Death Strike because we can take a lot of damage, but if we can get that blood shield up to a pretty good amount, it really, really helps to smooth out that damage input. It also increases the damage dealt by all of your attacks through our mastery. Um, which is another DPS increase for us. And number four, we have Critical Strike. Critical Strike is pretty much just a flat out damage increase. Not much that we get from it as far as survivability. So that's our basic stat priority right there, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to our rotation. Alright guys, so our rotation hasn't really changed that much and it's fairly simple. However, if you mess it up, it can get really dangerous for you as a tank. First off, we're going to want to keep our Bone Shield at around at least 5 plus stacks. It's really a really safe spot for us as Blood DKs. Um, Second off, of course, having that 5 plus stacks, we're going to want to be keeping Blood Boil, our Blood Plague up on all targets at all times. In AoE situations, this is very, very crucial. You get a lot of healing out of your Blood Plague in AoE situations. We're going to be filling all this in with, of course, our Death Strike. That's going to be our spender for runic power. We're going to want to use that. Never cap out on runic power. You're always going to want to use your Death Strike. Never cap out. Um, our Heart Strike is pretty much our filler whenever we don't need to be needing Morrowind. Whenever you don't want to cap out on runes, you always want to have around 3 runes recharging at all times. We're also going to be using, of course, Blood Drinker as our filler. If like pretty much using the same exact rotation, except you're going to be using Blood Drinker in your filler as Heart Strike instead of Heart Strike. Sorry. Um, and our Death and Decay is also really, really important. We're going to be using that almost at all times. While you remain in it, your Heart Strike will hit up to 3 additional targets. So, like on AoE situations, keeping up Death and Decay is really, really important for that extra damage of Heart Strike. Like I said, Our rotation is fairly simple. It's just remembering your priorities, keeping up your bone shields 5 plus at least. That's a safe spot. Keeping your blood plague on everybody. Never capping out on runic power with your death strike. Never having like less than 3 um, runes recharging. So you're always going to be using something, guys. So let's go ahead and move into our cooldowns and active mitigation. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and get into our active mitigation and cooldowns. First, I'll be going into our CDs, then I'll go ahead and move over into active mitigation. We have some fairly strong CDs in Icebound Fortitude. That is our strongest one. I just clicked that by mistake. Icebound Fortitude, it freezes your blood and you take 30% less damage for 8 seconds. Really, really, really powerful. However, it's on a pretty large CD of 3-minute cooldown, so make sure that you're trying to weave this in as often as possible. What times does it make sense to use in the fight, and what time does it not? You gotta plan that out pretty accordingly. Um, our Dancing Rune weapon is also really, really strong. You gain 40% parry chance, plus your melee attacks are doubled. Um, so when you're using this with Merrin, it's very, very powerful during boss fights. This is probably one of the most important CDs to make use of because you can have your bone shield maxed out in one hit, almost in one hit. And the majority of the time, I've actually maxed out my bone shield with one hit while Dancing Rune weapon was active. So it's also a 2-minute cooldown, which is much shorter. This helps you to keep up your bone shield. It makes it much easier. It makes your rotation much easier. Our other CD is Vampiric Blood, which is also really important. It increases your maximum health by 30% and increases all your healing absorbs received by 30%. Really, really good, and it's on a short CD of 1.5 minutes. You're going to want to be using this multiple times throughout a fight. Use it as often as possible. Also, our AMS has been taking a couple hits throughout the expansion. Um, our AMS is still pretty strong, however. It's really, really good for magic effects, especially since a lot of tanks have had that magical damage reduction removed. So we're one of the few remaining that has that. Make sure to use it as often as possible in magic fights, as it is a 1-minute cooldown. It's really, really short CD. So go ahead and use this as often as possible to utilize it as much as you can. So going ahead and getting into active mitigation, it's fairly simple. What we have is active mitigation. First off, we have our Merowin, which gives us Bone Shield. And the Bone Shield, it increases our haste by 10%, increases our armor by 442 right now, which I'm at. And Death Strike goes along with that. It heals you for 25% of all damage taken in the last 5 seconds, and it's a minimum of 7%. So these really work hand in hand. Your Bone Shield helps to smooth out that damage. Death Strike helps to take back that healing and top yourself off. So that is pretty much it for our active mitigation. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I thank you guys so much for watching it. I hope this guide really helped you. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you're going to put it to use in the BFA leveling process. Let me know how that goes when you guys are maxed out 120. I hope you guys enjoy the next expansion. If you guys remember, if you have any questions, concerns about video, drop them in the comments. Questions are best through Discord or Twitch. If I'm not live on Twitch, go ahead and follow, and I'll get back to you when I'm live. If I'm live, go ahead and drop in there, ask me a question, and I'll get right back to you there. So welcome back, guys. If you're already subscribed, if you're not subscribed, well, I hope you enjoyed the video enough to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And we're going to be continuing with these tank guides. So if you guys have more tanks, make sure to subscribe so you see when they come out. We have DPS guides coming out as well, so share with your boys. And thank you so much for watching. Like or dislike the video if you liked it or you disliked it, and peace out, everybody.